All right, so here we go. Game 1, General versus ER. Aztecs War as expected. All right, so since both of these AIs will try to pick the same strategy, spoiler alert, which one will attack first will likely decide the winner. We'll see what happens. It all depends on how much numbers you get out. But let's see, looking at ER's map first is blue. It's got some gold, which is forward, but kind of sideways. No gold on the back at all. In fact, it's very close to the edge of the map, which might not help if he gets to the defensive. And all the wood is, there's like a small clump of trees that you could consider a backwoods. So, not the best map here for ER, which I won't complain myself. All right, and then looking at General, who is playing as Montezuma. Hopefully won't be passive like the real Montezuma. So, red also has some pretty forward gold, very exposed. And got some back forests, but they're also kind of far away from the town center, at least one of them is. I think General picked the best wood spot that it could have. All right, so it looks like boar luring was successful. And so far so good, I'd say. And if you look at the villager counts on capture age, the general is usually slightly ahead on villager training, which is good. All right, boar hunting is done. Moving on to foraging. Yeah, I'm definitely watching my AI more. It's like, oh no, is it gonna bug? Is it gonna bug? Looks like it's actually playing pretty well, which I'm happy. All right, so getting some farms going. Meanwhile, let's take a peek at ER. Looks like a pretty standard build. Got a lumber camp that's pretty far away, I'd say, and also very vulnerable. So that could be a pretty easy spot for the general to hit. All right, so we got some gold being collected by the general. I think ER tends to wait a little bit longer for its gold mining. Actually, nope, it's mining its gold now. So the general is about, I'd say, 30-40 seconds ahead on feudal age, I think. So that should help it out, but it also is one villager behind. So we'll see if the general will be able to take advantage of its slight speed lead, or if it will get hurt by its one villager being behind. Alright, so we got a Mark and a blacksmith going up for general. And blue is to the feudal age. Blue is also doing the Mark and blacksmith. And second barracks as expected. Alright, so red is on the way to the castle age. It's got one barracks, should be followed by another here soon. Yep, there's second barracks. Alright, blue is getting the scale mail armor. That should help it out here. We'll see how long it takes the general to get the scale armor upgrade. Yeah, and there it goes. And blue is getting foraging. So if it comes down to head-to-head, general might lose if it has equal numbers, we'll see here. But we got some eagle warriors coming out from all three barracks from general. Meanwhile, ER has its typical 4 barracks, and I think they're going to start coming out now. And we got chainmail coming from ER. Okay, so general is deciding to attack now. It's got its chainmail upgrade. And one thing about ER is it tends to send its units in one-man groups. And so The general has its units clumped a little bit better together. And it's equal military numbers right now. We'll see what happens here. It seems like a big mad rush into the open battlefield right now. All right, so it looks like red is deciding to just hit blue's Eagle Warriors. I don't see a lot of villagers getting sent away. That's a big blow. We'll see if red will be able to defend against blue's attack now. Get that defender's advantage. Yeah, so red is able to, seems like it's keeping up against blue's Eagle Warriors around the town. Blue has not hit red's mining camp, which is a big point. And red is also bringing in some skirmishers and archers here. Might not be the best choice. I never got around to turning that off against Eagle Warriors. But red does have the military advantage here, as well as a pretty big villager lead. And survived against the first attack from ER, so I think this could be big here. And needs the crossbowman upgrade for the archers that it has. They're not going to do much otherwise. But here we go. We got an attack from red. It's a skirmisher. Was able to attack some of the lumberjacks of blue. And looks like red decided to retreat. All right, so red will decide to rebuild its army up. Hopefully it can raise a big enough army in time. So it's got crossbowmen. We'll see if it can defend the second time here. Keep blue from causing too much damage. Needs to get those blue Eagle Warriors away from the town center. Alright, so the gold miners for general weren't hit too bad. And looks like they're able to defend against the Eagle Warriors attacking, so now red is on the counterattack again. And so red does have a pretty big military lead here. Hopefully it can take advantage, so they hit the lumber camp here. And looks like blue is sending the villagers off to a new mining camp. And looks like red is able to keep most of its military in blue's base. Blue is only down to a few military units at this point. And so I think red has the definite advantage here right now, which makes me happy. I might say that softly. Okay, so we got a ram coming in from red, which is big. Red is continuing to kill off villagers here. Big villager lead for the general right now. Alright, so Ram is attacking the Siege Workshop, which ER never uses. Basically never uses. So I think Blue's town center is probably killing off a lot of red soldiers. I think the general will sometimes retreat against the town center fire, but it's not always very effective. I think it tends to target units nearby if there's villagers it wants to kill off instead. Or I think once it has enough military numbers, it just says, why bother? I've got some rams, I can die to some arrows. I think that's what's going on here, and that's why you don't see much retreating going on against the town center. But it could definitely be improved here, but it's not going to matter in this match because this game is almost over. Once that town center goes down to the Rams, I think it'll be GG. And nope, it's GG before the town center goes down. Alright, so I'm happy to say General won match 1 against ER. Alright, so yeah, I'm pretty happy. You don't have a face cam of me, but I'm happy. I have a smile on my face. So now we got match 2 coming up, the 4v4, which I think should favor General as well. 4v4 in general will help out AIs that are less aggressive. And the General is fairly aggressive. It's probably middle of the road. But it's less aggressive for sure than ER. So that should help it out. And the General, as you could see in the previous match, it just has a better boom overall. I think ER kind of sticks in one town center and hopes that its initial attack is enough to beat its opponent. And so that's its weakness. And of course, we're talking about the 2001 version of ER, the much improved Eagle's Revenge that we're more familiar with has fixed a lot of these problems. And for example, it goes for a less aggressive Eagle rush with only 3 barracks. And the most recent version of Eagle's Revenge is just a lot better and well-rounded, hard to beat. All right, and here we go, the 4v4. So, ER is all Aztecs, and then we've got Montezuma playing again for the General, and then we've got Japanese, Vikings, and Britons. And I would say, just off the top of my head, we've got Aztecs, which played pretty well in the last match for the General, so that should do well. And the Aztecs happen to be flank, which will probably work well. It's probably the most aggressive strategy right now for the General. And then the Britons will be the other flank for the General. They won't have the best night rush, so I'd rather the Britons were a pocket instead, so they have enough time to transition to their archers. But we'll see what happens there. And then we got Henry V, which probably did his, I think did his speech, maybe not. He's supposed to quote a little bit from the campaign scenario, which I think is a quote from Shakespeare? I can't remember. And then we got the Japanese as the pocket. Should have a decent enough night rush. This is before Weatherlow Kingdoms that added bloodlines. I think the Japanese might lack bloodlines in this game version. Right, they do. So it won't be great. But Vikings as pocket is perfect. We'll boom right up and get to the Imperial Age and get to Cavalier. And then, so now let's look at some maps. So blue has, as the Aztecs, has some forward gold. That could be pretty vulnerable for it. And then its opponent, red, also has some vulnerable gold, which will be hit first. It won't I think it's very unlikely that blue will not find it, unlike the last game. And then, but the red has some good back gold if it wants to use it. Maybe with a second town center. And it's got a back forest, which will work well. And then we got orange. It has some good gold placement here. It should be undisturbed, which it should help out a lot. And got some nice deep space way back behind the town center. Lots of space to build a forest, another lumber camp on a forest if it wants to. And then looking at gray here, the other pocket has some nice back gold. So that should help ER if Orange ends up hitting Orange's base, which will probably hit Orange will probably hit Gray at least once this game, unless Gray quickly overwhelms Orange. All right, so we got basically all the players are advancing to feudal age now. Looks like Orange was a bit delayed as well, so that's a bit unfortunate. All right, so yellow. So each of the generals are hitting the castle age now, a few seconds ahead of all of the ER players. The ER does go for a few more villagers before going to the castle age, and that's probably a product of just what you had to do in 1.0C. So that should give the generals some space to get some knights or eagle warriors out. But what I'm predicting is that red will be able to hit blue first. Let's see if has red found blue? Yes, red has found blue. But I predict that gray, I think orange is not having the best build up here, so gray might be able to hit orange and overwhelm orange. I haven't seen a lot of tests how ER does against a Knight Rush from General. I heavily tested the Eagle Warrior Rush instead, because I knew I had to do an Aztecs versus Aztecs battle. That's the advantage of knowing your opponents and being able to make updates for your AI. You know exactly what you need to face. Alright, so we got an attack from Gray coming in with Eagle Warriors, and Orange and Yellow were attacking at the same time. And we've got Red coming in with Eagle Warriors against Blue. And it looks like they were able to completely disturb the gold miners from Blue. And that's going to be a big blow against Blue. We got some Knights from Purple helping Red out as well. So I think we're going to see Blue get hurt pretty bad. But now let's take a look at the other side, where we've got the Orange and Yellow seem to be helping each other out pretty well. But we've got some Eagle Warriors rushing into Orange's town. And my guess is that Yellow needs to help out Orange here, but Yellow might not be good enough at doing that. We'll see what happens. Looks like Yellow just wants to chase Eagle Warriors around. So right now we've got a battle of who's going to get beaten up first. Blue on the right here, or Orange on the left. And it looks like Orange is getting beaten up quicker, unfortunately for me. But we do have the advantage of the general pockets are able to beat them up pretty easily here. With, in particular, the Vikings, of course, are getting a massive boost. And that should help out as long as ER doesn't get too many military soldiers. Okay, so Orange lost one of its town centers. And so did Blue, by the way, a few minutes ago. And Blue is completely gone, town center-wise. It's basically completely defeated here. And so is Orange. And Orange resigns here. It lost all of its town centers. Or, nope, it had one town center left. I guess I didn't fix the resign rules for this version. Alright. So it looks like the general's going to go on the defensive here for a little while. Do a little bit of booming up. Probably to get to Imperial Age. So Purple's on the way to Imperial Age. Should research that pretty quickly here. And we'll get some Cavaliers out. And that should help General start having a shift into being on the aggressive and help defend against the Eagle Warriors. once the general gets to the Imperial Age, the Eagle Warriors should be no match, I'd say. Alright, so how are the other general players doing here getting to the Imperial Age? Because I think that's what they're saving up for. So, well, red seems to be pretty far away. It's researching a lot of monk texts, but yellow's on the way to Imperial Age. And monks are really not the best unit to go for in this case. Alright, so we've got ER facing off against yellow. And yellow's able to defend a little bit. Don't have the Cavaliers yet because Imperial Age is still on the way. But yellow's able to hold on pretty well here. Just got to get the Imperial Age going. And as long as we got yellow attacking gray here with some Cavaliers and Berserks, that should slow the units coming into yellow. We got some teal rams attacking yellow here. I think that castle from yellow was key. Did a lot of damage, I think. Because all of those Eagle Warriors are cleared up. Now we've got red, who is about to get to the Imperial Age, moving in against green. And now we've got yellow counterattacking against gray, probably. And purple's getting an elite Berserk. Those will eat up all Eagle Warriors that are still on the map here. But the tide is turning for the general. Has outlasted ER's attacks, which is somewhat expected for a 4v4, but it's good to see that it actually happened. Only one of the players really fell to Eagle Warrior ER's attacks. Alright, everyone is in Green's town now. Alright, so yeah, this match is on the last stages already. Green is defeated, and gray is almost gone here. And yellow is cleaning them up. And last will be teal. So it's just a matter of time. I think gray just has a few lumberjacks on the left side of the map, and that's all they have. And it's GG. Alright, so general wins match number 2. Which means, as you might know, and I'm smiling, that means that the general has clinched, moving on to the final stage. Which, yay, that makes me happy. But we'll move on to the 2v2 in a few seconds here. Let's see if the general can have a sweep against ER. Yeah, I see your chat there. It is a good night tonight. So we saw Odette making it into the final stage as one of the new AIs in the Davis Cup tournament. And now the general, a new AI in the tournament, has made it onto the final stage. So it's not going to just be a complete showing of old AIs. We got some new AIs making their appearance. And we'll take a look at the And we got a few other AIs, I think, that also are making their first appearance. Thermopylae, I think that's how it's pronounced. Marathon, correct me. I think Thermopylae has made it into the final stage as well. We'll take a look at the brackets, make sure we get a full list of all the new AIs that have made it. But first, we have the 2v2, and I click the ready button. We should be good to go. Yep, and as Esty says, we have Destiny Part 10, the ultimate finale. All right, here we go. So we got Aztecs versus Aztecs. I don't know if that's what Esty planned, if it was just full random, but we got two Aztecs going. So we'll see if the general, see if it turns into two 1v1s. Maybe we'll see if both of the general players can kind of win the individual 1v1s. That'll be fun. All right, so let's see. Let's look at some map positions. So we've got yellow, which will probably face off against blue. Yellow has back gold, which is good for it. And it's got some backwood as well. Plenty of backwood. And a lot of empty space in front of the town center, which this is about as good a position as you can get, really. There's like nothing besides forage bushes in front of the town center. And if this was a human match, it'd be pretty easy to wall up as well with the big forests. Now let's look at red here. Red is not so fortunate. In fact, it is very unfortunate. Wow. Look at how far away it had to build its lumber camp. At least it didn't build a lumber camp next to some straggler trees. I think I would have preferred it built on the forest next to the other one that's by the lake. But yeah, that's not so great. And then both of the gold spots, two of the three gold spots are forward, and the other gold spot is like way far away. So wow. So I'm expecting that yellow will do well and red will not. And also I noticed that they're both Montezuma. Well, I'll have to add some more names in here. We could have seen Cuauhtemoc. That's how you pronounce his name. Cuauhtemoc teaming up with Montezuma, but not today. Yeah, inside to how the names are picked, it's basically, it numbers off the players and then it alternates. So in this case, all the odd player numbers would get, I believe, Cuauhtemoc in this case, and then all the even numbered players would get Montezuma. So in this case, it didn't work out so well because red and yellow are even numbered players. All right, so then green has forward gold as well, but lots of protective forests, but it decided to build both its mining camp and its lumber camp pretty far forward. So if red decides to, if it's able to recover from its really bad position, then it could do well against green if it can keep it on the offensive. But yeah, the two lumber camps and the mining camp, they're all going to get hit, at least for red. One thing you can say is that the lumber camps will probably get destroyed before the miners get hit for the Eagle Warriors. So there's that. Alright, so looking at blue. Blue's got some fishermen and fisherwomen. That's probably not the best thing. But also, blue decided to build its lumber camp back, which is good. Didn't build the lumber camp next to the lakes near the TC. Alright, so we're getting close to the Castle Age aggression. And also I see that yellow is also deciding to fish. I guess fish is what is planned for dinner tonight. Okay, so we got yellow going up to Castle Age right now. And all the other players will follow soon, with red being the last. So that won't be good for the general. Because against ER, it kind of depends on getting to the Castle Age faster, using the user patch advantage. Right now, yellow has the Eagle Warriors lead, and it's launching the attack. And they're going to meet up with the Green Eagle Warriors, and we got the first battle of the game. And yellow's just eating them up like fish. All right, so I'll stop with those jokes. Anyway, so we got them hitting the villagers, the farmers, running away from the town center successfully, and attacking the blue Eagle Warriors. Meanwhile, red is moving to attack green. Green is deciding to hit yellow. So this could actually be pretty big for red. Let's see how many miners it can stop. Alright, so blue was able to beat off the attack. And let's see what happens with yellow. Yellow's going to be double teamed here, which could be pretty bad for yellow. But thankfully, red's attack against green caused green to come and try to defend its town. And if you look at green's villager count, it went below 30 villagers, so that was pretty devastating. But so could blue's attack against yellow, because ER definitely has the military advantage right now. So let's hope that this town center can stop the Eagle Warriors attacking. But yellow's getting double teamed right now. I don't think it's going to happen. So what red needs to do is go and attack. I don't know if it's attacking or just chasing this blue scout. I think it's just chasing. But it could be an accidental attack, which would not be bad. Yeah, there we go. An accidental attack, idling some of green's villagers here. Could be key. But yellow's getting pretty hurt here. Still has more villagers than green, but not by much. Meanwhile, blue is deciding to hit red instead. And red might have enough units to defend as long as it's not double teamed here. Let's see what happens. Got a fight in front of red's town center. And I think red will hold off blue here. But it had a lot of idle villagers. Let's see. According to the score, after all the big back and forth, it says that Montezuma's, plural, are headed in score. But that must just be because of trading well in military battles. That's my guess, because they're behind on villagers, both of them. They're able to, it's about even on military count. So as long as the general can get some town centers up and get some crossbowmen, I think those getting crossbowmen will help against the Eagle Warriors here. Be able to just boom up and be defensive, I think might be a winning strategy. We'll see. Yellow's getting crossbowmen, but I think yellow still has one town center. And same with red. But no, red has 2 town centers now, so that's good. With red building some farms in the middle of nowhere, I don't know what causes that. I don't know if it's the town size not getting updated properly. and they're not getting built around the town center, or what. But it seems to happen a lot with my AI. So if you know what the cause is, just drop a note in the chat. Alright, so we got a second town center going down for yellow, so that's good. And they seem to be holding off attacks against green decently well, and red is actually counterattacking. But mostly, it lost all of its Eagle Warriors, so now it's just down to range units. That's not going to help. So the longer the general is able to hold off and last, the more likely it is that it'll be able to win. Because the general is better at booming than ER. I think right now villagers are basically even if you compare the total for both teams. Alright, so green is attacking red. And it looks like red is able to scatter blue's soldiers pretty well, not cause too much damage. I think the crossbowmen are helping out here. Crossbowmen are weak against Eagle Warriors 1v1, but once you get enough of them massed up, they can do pretty well. However, yellow is... I don't know what's that. Okay, yellow is attacking blue. That's why their town is so exposed right now. So, good thing yellow is now retreating its soldiers back, but green is causing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, red is on the attack again. It's quite interesting. Red had what I call a horrible map position, but it's the best player in this game right now. And red is clearly ahead in villagers now. You can see the general is just doing a better job of booming up. 3 town centers, I think. ER, looking at town centers, I think yeah, both of them are still in 1 town center. I don't even know if the script allows for multiple town centers. Yeah, so red is hitting the vulnerable gold miners who still have never gathered all of that gold up. And that's probably the green's most frustrated thing in this game right now is just how many gold miners are getting hit. So I think the tide has definitely turned here for the general. Really, there wasn't a huge tide shift. I think it was about neck and neck. There was one point when ER definitely had the military advantage, but it just wasn't able to take advantage of that and turn it into a true lead. I think it just comes down to military coordination. One thing about ER is that it tends to have its units all in just separated one-man groups, and so it's really hard for ER to get all of its units in one place. And so even with a military advantage, it struggles to win fights sometimes. Alright, so both generals are on their way to the Imperial Age. And keeping up the attack here. And we've also got trading going on. And it looks like that trade is pretty uninterrupted right now. We've got some blue Eagle Warriors that could be hitting some of those trade carts pretty soon. But we had a red castle going up, but it was hit. We attacked the villagers. So that red castle right by its town that could have defended the trade carts will not go up, at least not yet. But let's look at blue right now because yellow is right by this main town center, killing off a whole bunch of villagers. And red, who has had the advantage against green for most of the game, seems like it's about ready to knock down the town center. Probably before that ram arrives. Yep, green resigned. Town center is dead. And blue's going to follow soon after. So yay, another win by the general. I'd say that this match was really interesting. We had a lot of back and forth, mostly from ER, which enemies had attacked. Sometimes we had some double teaming going on, some switching back and forth. I don't know if that actually helped ER this match, but there were a lot of times when it looked like some of those attacks could have knocked out one of the generals. So there we go. GG, ER.